We just had the question, and I didn't know the answer. It's embarrassed me. I wonder if our guest knows the answer as we bring Trevor Hoffman on. How many bells before the music kicks in, Trevor?
Before the riff starts.
That's a really good question. I only knew it by where I was at on the field.
Yeah.
Because they started it sometimes at Qualcomm before I came off of the mound in the bullpen, and then at Petco was once the door swung open.
Yeah.
So there was, I think they decided when they wanted to start it to based off of when I was running in.
Yeah, so you were a runner. You ran from the bullpen to
jog,
the mound.
more of a slow jog.
Slow jog. I've
Yeah,
seen it all. I've seen the walk, which I think is, that's hard ass. If you walk it the whole way, it's a long way from the bullpen to the mound.
On one side, you got the walk.
You got the sprinter.
On this side, you've got Heath Bell.
Yeah, Heath Bell. And then
I like the bullpen cart from Major League with the big helmet.
Oh, yeah.
And they just drive you out there.
Drive you out to the mound. But that's, you do want to walk out there to establish your presence with authority, Trevor. And that's something that you did a lot in your career. How's everything going, man? How you doing?
Everything's going great, guys. Thank you very much.
It's so nice of you to join us today. And I know that you are about as diehard a Padre fan as there is. Oftentimes see you at the game, biting your nails and leaning forward and rocking just like the rest of us do, whether we're at the game or at home. But man, it's been an interesting start to the season. Wanted to get your kind of overall take.
Yeah, I think it's been really actually a pretty good start, to be honest with you. I know that our expectations were sky high, and just having a chance to kind of sit back and digest the first month and a week or so, the guys are fine. I underestimated this schedule, to be honest with you. I don't think we're giving enough credence for running through Atlanta and New York and Chicago early, the travel that they had through Mexico. And then the WBC kind of having an impact on this roster more so than other people.
Yeah.
The Pirates probably had very few people, if any, maybe Henry Ford and the minor leaguer that went with Great Britain. But honestly, we had guys everywhere and didn't see a couple all the way till the start of the season. So, I think you got to give a little bit of hall pass to that. Some of the pitching was a little discombobulated to get the season started. But honestly, I think Bob and the staff has done a great job of just transitioning from spring training, being all over the place, to having a system and getting guys comfortable in the regular season.
It does feel like whatever happened last Saturday in that thin air in Mexico City did kind of jumpstart the offense, which was nice. You were down there. You got to throw out a ceremonial first pitch as well. Tell us what the experience was like last weekend for you.
Yeah, honestly, the stadium's beautiful. Alfredo Harp Pelú Stadium was really well done from the ground up. The facility itself had great viewpoints for the field, and outside of being at 7,000 feet, there's nothing you do about that. Ball's just not coming out of the air, but the actual facility was top notch, and I think the guys really enjoyed it. Maybe not the pitchers, but the brand of baseball is a little bit kind of like Denver, where nothing's safe, nothing. I mean, fans would go crazy, and the fans outnumbered Giant fans by 4, 7-1, 8-1. It was incredible. The attendance that the Pod fans showed up in droves and drowned them out, really. But, you get excited for, a 3-run inning, go ahead, and then you kind of held on to, like a roller coaster. The next inning, you kind of try to hold on to that lead. So a certain type of pitch, I think the fastball split changeup mix would probably be the best. Mateo Nomo thrown no-hitter in Denver, with that kind of mix was how it works. But overall, there's the excitement. I feel like Padres are Mexico's team.
There's no question about it. I talked to Padres bullpen coach Ben Fritz, who's one of my favorite people on the planet. Just tells it like it is. And I asked him, I said, what was it like for your pitchers? What'd you tell him? And he said, the hardest part, he said, okay, Joe's on the mound. Joe throws a nasty slider. Well, he hangs one, they bang it. He throws another one, it catches for some reason, one snaps off, and he's like, oh, okay, now I've got the feel. Throws it again, and it hangs it again. He said, there's just no way. He said, so by the second day, I said, hey, everyone, throw your fastball, throw it as hard as you can, close your eyes, and hope they hit it right at somebody. That has got to be, I know your pitch mix was a little bit different. That's got to be a bit concerning, worrisome, kind of frustrating to go out there and grab the ball.
Yeah, I think you're just constantly fighting to know that your offense is going to come back and they're going to have a good time, but you're trying to limit damage. You don't want to give free passes away. and have runners, traffic going before, damage can be done. But I mean, just my perspective, I was down the first base line about first base deep, and some of the trajectories of the ball were literally felt like pop-ups.
Pop-ups.
It's pushing guys back to the wall. It's not out. It just, the line drives don't come in the air. That's fine. You feel like you gave up a pretty good knock, but the balls that look like they're going to go to the shortstop and they're out of the park, that was ridiculous.
We just celebrated the 98 team, and now coming up later this summer, we're going to have the new Padres Hall of Fame inductions, including one of your former teammates, Jake Peavy, going in. That'll be a special day and a night for all the Padres fans and you as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Jake getting his due, and he's had a great career outside of San Diego, but for the San Diego Padre fans that love him and him getting a start here and really cutting his teeth and learning how to be a professional, I think it's going to be a great honor for him to receive and to hear the words that he's going to have for this fan base. He's not going to sugarcoat it. He's going to, have a few eloquent, sayings, we'll say, dadgummits and things like that. But, Jake's one of a kind. He's a competitor. He wore the uniform well, and I think it's going to be a great honor for him and his family.
It has been fun having him around. We had him on our show opening day. I did confirm with him the rumor that you told me about him, what he would apply to his body and wear.
He was open about it.
He was open about it.
Maybe a little too much detail.
If I breached some sort of confidence or something, I'm sorry, but I had to know that was the real deal. And he's insane. That's an insane thing to do.
Pretty impressive, right?
Very.
I don't know. Self-sabotage, whatever you want to call it, but that's something I didn't felt like I needed. So it was great that I didn't go down that road with him.
I think it would have hurt you. You're trying to throw that change up, and I don't know that you want to be too amped up maybe when you try to throw it. I don't know, Trevor, but it was certainly a delight to talk to him. And like I said, it's fun having him back around the organization and being on board with what the Padres are doing. It's been great. And you, of course, helping be an ambassador to this team like you do. Do you ever get tired of throwing out first pitches?
No, I think it's awesome, man. It's actually kind of stressful to not bounce it or throw it over the guy's head. It's literally for the 98 celebration. Everyone's lined up on the first base line, so now you got an added layer of like, hey, don't screw this up.
All your boys, yeah.
All the boys, and Carlos got down in his stance, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you look like 100 miles away. It's not good. So the eyes are going, the arm's bad. So there's going to come a point where you're just going to have to wear it and understand you're not going to be able to throw strikes. So it's part of it.
Yeah, I learned that a long time ago. Yep.
Talking to Hall of Famer Trevor Hoffman here on a Friar Friday. All right, I got a strategy question for you because we had the debate earlier this week from the game that the Padres lost in 10 innings to the Reds. Bob Melvin brought in Josh Hader in the tie game in the top of the ninth. Obviously, there's no chance for a save situation, but we had Eno even on yesterday when you were off, Woods, and he said, yeah, I think the numbers say you should have saved Josh Hader for the 10th with the runner on second base.
And something like the 10th inning is 20% more, was it intensity?
Yeah, intensity of the pitches or something like that. But I also said, well, but if you don't get to the 10th, and you give up runs in the ninth, then you just wasted an opportunity to bring in one of the best pitchers in the game. Now, Trevor, I know there was oftentimes talk that you weren't as good when you came in a non-save situation. Hader obviously looked fine on Tuesday when he came in the ninth. But what do you think with these new rules, the best way to implement, to bring in a guy like Josh Hader when you are like tied in the ninth inning, knowing that extra innings and a runner on second base is possible?
Yeah, great question. I think a little bit has to do maybe where you're at in the lineup, like what part of the Reds lineup it was at. I couldn't tell you, but
it was the bottom.
Yeah. So potentially you could have went a different arm there, and then like you're saying, I mean, to have the start of an inning with a guy on second, if you will, it's like giving up a leadoff double and having to navigate that. But I think, gosh, let's just go back to how well Josh has thrown this year and really looked like the Hader that we thought we were getting at the very beginning. And man, he's just been dominant with his fastball and mixing in a changeup, and his slider's as sharp and devastating as ever. And so I couldn't be more happy for him. He's such a great clubhouse presence. And from a strategy standpoint, I think it's, that's what makes the manager get the big bucks. They have to make those decisions on when to deploy your best weapon. And if you feel like the ninth is the best stop, and that way you can come back and score in the ninth and finish it there, as opposed to getting to the 10th and having to deal with runners. That's kind of that's part of the gamesmanship.
You know, if I remember correctly, you never really acknowledged when you were a player because, you know, I'd be in the media and I'd ask you the question, oh, yeah, he came in the tie game and gave up a couple of runs.
Sorry about him.
You never,
Hoffy,
yeah,
I'm
like
sorry.
never would give up a run when you came in with the lead. You know, as a competitor, I can see why, you know, you wouldn't want to ever acknowledge something like that. In hindsight, was it different? I mean, you know, when you were pitching and you didn't have that lead and the opportunity to close out a game?
So the way you want to look at it is, yes, it was different, but it was different for the batter. The batter didn't have the safety net that you have in a tie game. So you can kind of approach me in that ninth inning differently. It's not a do or die situation where we don't score a run. You get guys to be maybe a little more aggressive. You can use that aggressiveness against them. And so my stuff didn't change too much. It's their approach and their ability to be a little more patient in a tie ball game versus a run down or more was a little bit different. And so that was kind of the difference. I didn't have the gas to kind of running up there and be able to dodge a couple of situations where if I wasn't locating perfectly, guys would maybe take a pitch or something like that in a tie game or get me deeper into account. And the more you saw me, the better you hit me.
Sorry that Ben just said that you like to take games off when you didn't get
it.
when you did.
I didn't say
the numbers
that.
were terrible.
No, when you didn't have it exactly.
I think I made that
way,
same
Trevor.
argument about it's different for the batters as opposed to the pitcher that Trevor just made for sure. But
Trevor Hoffman half-assed it when he couldn't get a
when
save.
you're playing, you got to be Superman. You got to have that reputation intact. Like, no, it doesn't matter when I go in. I'm dominant. I'm going to get you out no matter what.
All
and then now that he's not playing, you feel like there's a chance for a little more honesty
Trevor,
at this point.
We're so sorry.
I'm so sorry, Trevor.
He's a loose cannon.
You guys are just top-notch journalists. I love it. Like, you guys are getting down and dirty, figuring stuff out.
I picture a young Ben Higgins asking the great Trevor Hoffman, so you gave up a couple runs there in the ninth. What happened? I mean, that to me is killing me right now.
Trevor gave a young Ben Higgins the business.
He
It's
did.
one of my favorite stories.
I got the talking to once. I told that story.
I think we might have had really good eye contact at some point.
No, we get Craig and I got the talking to.
The
once.
glares from Hoffy are second.
I had to learn as well. I was a young player and I got schooled, or a young broadcaster.
Called out the training staff.
Schooled by a not quite as young Trevor. He was pretty young, but not quite as young as I was at that time. And it was a lesson. It was an important lesson learned. Before you go, Trevor.
Fair question. I apologize for maybe not giving you the answer at the time that you wanted. But there's nothing worse than going back in and facing your teammates after they worked so hard to tie the game up and they got to work more. So
and Trevor was so stand up with the media.
Yeah,
he would, after a save, he might be hard to find. When the very rare case when they did blow a save, was right there answering questions and deflecting from anybody else. Because you know what? When you lose a game, it's not all on the closer.
No,
there was other things that went wrong, but Trevor would be the one to answer all the questions about the loss and wouldn't be on the offense that didn't score enough runs, or the starting pitcher who gave up 4 or 5 that made it a game in the first place. It would always end up having to be on Trevor Hoffman, which wasn't totally fair, but he was the one standing out there answering the question.
Yeah, it's accountability, Hoffy. And you saw Xander Bogaerts. I'm sure you guys talked about it yesterday. His comments after the game, coming out and saying, I played terribly. I got to play better. Well, they beat the crap out of the Reds. And, Xander was certainly, he didn't have the best game for him, but he said, I will play better. That's something that's, I don't want to say it's rare these days, but it felt special. So maybe it is rare these days.
Well, I think what you have to take away from X is that he's been taught in Boston media. So, I think if you're transparent and you're honest of your own assessment of your play, then all that the fan base and media will take away is that you're a stand-up guy and you're giving your best. And so I think he learned a lot being in Boston. I was listening to Coach a couple of days ago, and he talked about Dylan Brooks not showing up for a post-game comments after he dropped what he did on LeBron. And that $25,000 is a lot of money. Like they make it hurt in the NBA. So, I mean, that doesn't happen in MLB, but it's certainly, you guys have a job to do. It's just part of being a professional. And I think everyone appreciates when it's done right, that people can do their job.
No doubt about it.
Before you go, I didn't know much about this, but I said I saw you're part of the Dinner on the Diamond charity event that's coming up later this month on Thursday, May 18th. What's that about?
Yeah, this will be the second annual gala that Pods are putting on in the Diamond. Big event. They do it upright. There was a hit last year with tons of great prizes. People getting to go on the team charter to certain cities in the country, and just first class stuff everywhere, and Masters stuff. I mean, the prizes are incredible. So it helps out the Padre Foundation, and it's a pretty big event. Looking forward to it on the field. Not quite sure who they have as the entertainment, but it was Miguel last year, and a lot of the guys were fired up about that. So
Ja Rule and Ashanti.
Oh yeah, Ja Rule and Ashanti. Mud and Don will be, I'm assuming, the MCs.
Yeah, we weren't asked this year, so it's not us.
If they get food poisoning or anything, not that I would ever slip anything into their food to get them sick. Just you got our numbers. Just
Don caught a bad fish that he ate or something. Yeah.
Don Tangelo's closes.
You guys are on the short list
all
for
right,
sure.
Good. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. That's all we want. We just want to be acknowledged.
Thank you. Thank you,
Trevor. Buddy.
There he is, Trevor Hoffman, the Hall of Famer.